Good afternoon, my friends, and welcome back to the Watch Wendigo YouTube channel. Today, we are going to be starting our shipwrecking process. As a lot of you know, if you've been kind of following along with the channel, I've been picking up a couple of knives with full copper scales with the intention of doing shipwreck finishes on them. We're going to go ahead and start out with the Kershaw Natrix standard size is going to be our first project. So the first step in doing this is obviously going to be to disassemble the knife and remove everything that we're not shipwrecking. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, sorry about that little cut. Let's get there we go. That's better. Okay, so I did have to go get heat, and I had to be very careful because the backspacer in this is plastic, so you have to heat it up just a little bit at a time to disassemble it. Some evil maniac here, I'll show you. Absolutely bathed those things in what looks to me like red permanent Loctite. So I wish that guy nothing but despair in his life. But I did manage to get him loose eventually. Sorry about the glove as well. These gloves I got for later when we're dealing with the ammonia and stuff, but when you saw me slip there, I stabbed myself pretty good in the back of the finger, and so now I got a nice little gash on the back of the finger there that I'm sure nobody really wants to look at. Really tight. So just be careful. Add a little bit of heat. You don't have to get this insanely hot. Just enough to help it overcome that Loctite. There we go. That also feels like it has an absurd amount of Loctite on it. There, it's finally starting to feel. There we go. Yeah, look at this demon. The guy in the factory screwing those together is a monster. There's so much red Loctite. Shame on that guy. But this scale should now pop off. There we go. So we're going to need to clean that guy up. And then this is going to be used to clean up and prep the scales for the patina. So when you're doing this, it's just light strokes back and forth, and you're just trying to bring out the shine, get the material down to raw copper, get all the patina that's already starting to build up on it off of it. One thing you do want to try to do is try not to make strokes this way, this way, this way. You know, make all of your strokes in a continuing motion. And it doesn't take much pressure at all. The stone itself does all of the work. And basically what this guy is a rubber block with micro abrasives suspended inside the rubber. And you want to do the best you can to get everything off of there and make these pieces nice and shiny. You can already see how much shinier that's starting to come out, especially if you compare it to the other side. And again, this is just preparing it to accept the patina that we're going to force on it. Okay, my friends, so the last part of this journey is to soak this napkin with ammonia, get a small pool going in there, set your ammonia down. Sorry, the camera stability isn't going to be as good here because I am outside working on the side of my barbecuer because obviously I'm working with ammonia and that shit is nasty. And so I wasn't going to work with that inside. So we create a small pool of ammonia. We're going to stick these wadded up napkins in here. We want to create an uneven surface across here. Then we're going to add just a small amount more ammonia to the tops of these so that there's ammonia in direct contact with the scales. And now let's get that ammonia capped because, God, that smells awful. And then we are taking sea salt, both fine and coarse grain, and we're going to scatter some across the paper towels. And although I've done quite a bit of research about this, this is my first time doing it, so we're going to trial and error with how much ammonia, how much salt we're going to be using. From what I read, you actually don't want an insane amount of salt. If you want more color, which is what we're going for here, we want to see a lot of blues and greens come out in this. Okay, we're going to take our scales, set them face down. And then seal this guy up. And as tempting as it will be to check your work, you do not want to open this for probably at least 24 hours. When you come back, you can check to see if the patina is where you want it to be, but give it at least 24 hours so that you have a solid patina set in before you move it around, because anytime you open this, move it around, set them around, you're going to change the pattern that is imprinted onto your copper scales. Okay, my friends, it's been about 47 hours since we put these into patina. I checked on them yesterday on the 24-hour mark, and I just wasn't happy with where they were at in the patina process. I didn't feel like it had set in enough. I added a little more ammonia and a little more salt because the salt had basically dissolved entirely and the ammonia had dried up, or mostly dried up. That tells me that this container is, well, first of all, not entirely airtight because the fumes had to go somewhere. But let's go ahead and check on them and see where they're at now after 47 hours in the fume chamber. That one looks like it's going to turn out pretty good. Let's get the cap back on this because that reeks. Yeah, those look pretty good. Okay, so the next step in this process is to rinse these off very, very gently, allow them to dry, and then we have to clear coat them to preserve this look. Alright, I will see you for the next step. Okay, so this is what they look like after being rinsed and then dabbed with a cloth to get them as dry as possible. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a good stand-up tripod or a good mount for me to record the clear coating process, so I'm just going to have to explain it for now. And when we do our next project, hopefully I will be in a better place with filming equipment and be able to have better equipment so that I can make better content for you guys. So basically, though, this is very, very simple. If you ever painted anything in your life, you will understand this process. So this is what I'm going to try using. If this doesn't work out, then I can remove it and I can start this whole process over again. That is one of the nice things about these patinas, is they're not entirely reversible, but they're pretty reversible, and you can go back and do it over. So I'm going to use this, see how that looks. I'm looking for something with a pretty high gloss, so hopefully this gives me the look that I'm after. I'm debating back and forth right now as well if I want to take that rust remover, the KPL rust remover that I showed you guys, and do like some shadow boxing around the sides, kind of brush the sides a couple of times to allow some of the bright copper to shine back through. I haven't made up my mind yet on not if I want to do that, but I think it would add to the worn look. It would kind of put emphasis everywhere where your hands would fall and kind of frame the whole thing in. Although, after drying these, I actually think they turned out pretty well. They took longer than they should have, but we ended up with a lot of color, and I ultimately think they look pretty good. So I might just leave these ones the way they are rather than do the shadow boxing. Actually, I think I am going to leave these how they are. I think I'm just going to clear coat them just the way they are and let that be the finished product. Okay, my friends, after a lot of fussing around with all of the hardware and having to replace my T6 quite a few times, we're at a point where our scales are done. I have all the pieces laid out, and it's just time to reassemble. So let's go ahead and do that. Check for centering. Seems like we're doing pretty good there. Well, that's pretty much the end of this shipwrecking project. I'm pretty, overall as a whole, as a first time doing this, I'm pretty happy with it. I learned a lot of stuff that works, and I learned a lot of stuff that doesn't work. Same goes for actually making content like this. I learned some stuff that works, and I found out a lot of stuff that doesn't work. So hopefully the next time we do one of these projects, I will have everything sorted out a little better and be able to produce higher quality content. But ultimately, as a whole, I think the knife turned out really good. I'm pretty happy with it, and I'm excited to see what we can do with the rest of the knives that we got for this project. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. Wendigo, signing out.